This is not Earth, but my world. I have been chosen to be a god of this world, but I might be erased because there are 27 other gods like me. Thus, I need to gain the recognition of the creatures of this world and generate faith. Only if the number of believers increases can I win in this divine selection competition. Otherwise, the only outcome waiting for me is death. Ranking first, a man named Nebula is a top player of a game called The Lost World. In the game, he developed technology and defeated the second-ranked player, Hegemonia, becoming the first to complete all achievements. Just as he was lamenting the boredom of the game, a mysterious email suddenly appeared on his screen. Amazing achievement. So far, you are the only one who has cleared all achievement. Thank you for enjoying Lost World so far. Lost World, which was in early beta access, is now scheduled to be officially released. Player Nebula can enjoy the game before the official service. Would you like to start? Looking at the invitation in front of him, Nebula didn't hesitate and decisively clicked the yes button. But when he opened his eyes again, he found himself in a ruin-like square, which made him very confused. Was he dreaming? At the same time, a voice interrupted his thoughts. Then, a mysterious woman appeared in front of him. She knew all about Nebula. Looking at the puzzled Nebula, the mysterious person signaled him not to be nervous, as he wasn't the only one who had come here. As she slowly raised her hands, a blue planet floated in midair. Could it be Earth? Nebula wondered, but he quickly dismissed the thought, because he had seen the scenery of that continent many times. The game Lost World, and everyone present might become a true god. Lost World is not just a world that exists in the game. This land was abandoned by the gods because of something that happened in the past. On that planet, there once was a splendid civilization where different races lived in harmony. However, for unknown reasons, the gods left it. Now to them, it's time to welcome the new gods. The purpose of creating the game Lost World was to find suitable new candidates for that planet. And its nature is just like the rules in the game. If you work hard to generate faith among the natives, you can become the only god on this planet, and you can do anything you want, all the desires you've ever dreamed of. It is feasible as a god of that world. Hearing this, Nebula felt incredulous. What if I choose to give up? The mysterious person also explained, if you give up now, you will return to your everyday life and lose the memory of this place. Once you join the game, you cannot quit, and there are only two outcomes: disappear or become a god of that world. After explaining the rules, the mysterious person announced that anyone wishing to give up must do so now. Then, the mysterious person took out strange cards. This is just like the Lost World. Choose a small area to start your game. Nebula realized it really was just like the game. However, he couldn't help but wonder if others were already giving up. He began counting the number of people present. 1, 2, 3. Soon, the count had dwindled to 27. Nebula guessed that they were inviting candidates according to the game's maximum number of players. As the top-ranked player, Nebula was the first to choose a card. Upon receiving the card, he was also teleported to the starting area of the game. However, he was very frustrated, not expecting that being the first to draw a card, his luck would be so bad. It turned out that he drew the area with the lowest win rate, a small insect region, and he could only control creatures of the insect type. It's unfortunate, but also fortunate, because this location is in a remote area on the eastern part of the continent, which means there are few wars here, allowing him enough time to develop. In this sense, relying on insects would be a good starting line, such as against those frogmen. But what troubled him was the number of tribes. As a starting tribe, it is not easy to develop faith, especially facing a number of 500 frogmen, and his initial faith value was only 10 points, which had no effect on these well-fed frogmen at all. Therefore, he had to find a new target. Soon, he discovered some lizard men. They also feed on insects and can survive here even without water. After careful observation by Nebula, a young, severely injured lizard man caught his attention. These lizard men were a primitive tribe, and this young lizard man was likely ousted in a power struggle. The more he felt abandoned by this world, the more he yearned to change his destiny. Well then, let's start with him. In this desolate area, trees are already a scarce resource, let alone food. But just then, the lizard men suddenly became very excited because they found an injured antelope. The young and strong lizard men rushed over first, while the old, weak, and sick could only wait for them to finish eating, getting a small portion of the remaining bones. However, some lizard men believed that food should not be shared with those tribe members who were about to die. It turned out that they had previously encountered a saber-toothed tiger. Rakrak was severely injured while protecting the tribe, so some tribe members believed that he should not be abandoned. The scene shifts, and night falls. At this moment, all the lizard men were resting, but just then, Rakrak was awakened by a sound. When he saw the source of the noise, it was a butterfly, which he found very strange. He felt as if something was calling him, so he immediately followed. When Rakrak reached the summit, he found beetles piled up like a mountain. He looked incredulously at everything before him, thinking, could this be a miracle? After receiving this gift of food, Nebula successfully won the faith of the lizard men. Because these beetles became their hope for salvation, he took this opportunity to prepare for the next step of his plan. Meanwhile, the lizard men tribe had concluded this was divine guidance and began calling him the nameless beetle god. After acquiring so much resource for the tribe, Rakrak's status among his people was elevated. At this time, he saw the butterfly's guidance again. However, when the other tribespeople learned that the butterfly was guiding them toward the cold lands, they hesitated and tried to persuade Rakrak to try another direction, but Rakrak insisted on following the butterfly's guidance. He believed that aimlessly searching in the wilderness was futile, and it was better to trust in divine guidance. Meanwhile, Nebula observed silently from behind. He knew that the lizard men still lacked enough faith, so he could not directly interfere with their decisions. If they believe in me, they will experience a future beyond their imagination, Nebula thought. Rakrak followed the butterfly's guidance and soon discovered a desert oasis. He was convinced that the nameless beetle god had led them to a sacred place. At the same time, Nebula's divinity level was elevated. The small area's bug level was raised to level 2, and he received the blessing of bugs, which significantly enhanced Rakrak's abilities. Rakrak, do you want to know what I want? Then deliver my will to your people. This blessing will help you. The scene shifts, and night falls. By then, the upgraded Nebula had gained the ability to enter their dreams. He needed Rakrak's help to craft an image of a god. Then, an image of a buffalo's skull appeared in his dream. This was the appearance of the nameless beetle god. The next morning, Rakrak announced to his people what he had dreamed last night. They needed to hunt a wild buffalo and use its bones to create the image of the nameless beetle god. However, the tribespeople seemed to disagree with his approach, as the buffalo herd was too dangerous for them. Rakrak understood everyone's concerns but still firmly believed in his idea and decided to go alone to complete the task. The tribespeople were all incredulous, but Rakrak reassured them not to worry, for he had received the god's blessing. Not only had his injuries healed, but his strength had also increased. After speaking, he threw a javelin, which effortlessly pierced a large tree dozens of meters away, shocking everyone. Just then, a herd of buffalo passed by below the mountain. Realizing this was divine guidance, Rakrak charged at the herd alone. With just one spear, he easily hunted a buffalo. Seeing this, the tribespeople came forward to help process the buffalo. By evening, Rakrak had made an image of the nameless beetle god out of buffalo bones and led his people in a sacrificial ceremony to thank the nameless beetle god for his gifts. The nameless beetle god, please accept our offering, no matter how inadequate it may be. Please accept our offering. Although it was a hasty and clumsy ceremony, their sincerity was heartfelt. Nebula's faith value was greatly increased as a result, making him feel that it was all worthwhile. Previously, Nebula had used wild grass to lure the buffalo herd down the mountain to provide resources for them, but what he didn't expect was that they would eat the calves as well. At this stage, it was difficult to expect them to grasp knowledge and skills related to herding. The population support of this oasis was not high, and it could only be maintained for a few years at most. Currently, they had no concept of agriculture or ranching, and the coming times might be very tough. It was simply too difficult for them to grasp certain knowledge on their own. However, due to the rules restrictions, Nebula could not directly tell them the solutions, so he quickly thought of a method, but it would take a long time to implement. The scene shifts to a few days later. One night, Rakrak had a strange dream where he saw the altar shaking, as if hinting that something significant was about to happen. He then climbed up the altar. Under Nebula's guidance, Rakrak's tribe was strengthened. Their skin color evolved from light blue to dark, and Rakrak firmly believed that this was the divine protection and guidance. Just as he felt the altar shake again, he saw the approaching powerful enemy. A tribe was coming in their direction. Judging by their skin color, they were Rakrak's former tribespeople. More importantly, their leader looked very powerful because he was riding a terrifying drake. Looking at their numbers, it seemed that the entire tribe had come, which also meant that their original homeland had been exhausted of resources. Rakrak guessed that they were perhaps just passing through, but since their location required climbing to the mountain's summit to see the full picture, and the patrol team was overly enthusiastic, they prematurely exposed their position. The patrol team also warned them not to pass through this area. The leader did not expect to encounter this kind of unexpected surprise, suggesting that these people were not familiar with the surrounding environment. Rakrak reassured his people not to be nervous, thinking that this might be the arrangement of God. Are you saying this is a test from the god? Rakrak gave a positive answer. He believed this was not only a test but also a mission. Our mission is to accept and save them. After all, they are just like us. Just then, the butterfly appeared again. Is this also the will of God? Although it was hard to guess further, he firmly stated, I will do my best to convey your will. Watching Rakrak's actions, Nebula realized that he had understood his intentions. Rakrak's tribe and the Blue-Skin tribe must unite to strive for population growth and technological progress. What surprised Nebula was that Rakrak had made this decision on his own, without guidance from dreams. Was it because his willpower was strong enough? It turned out that Rakrak's willpower had reached an astonishing 14 points. Nebula was very reassured. If Rakrak could grow into a leader with a high degree of self-will, he could develop civilization autonomously rather than relying entirely on player control. This way, Nebula could effectively express his intentions. Faced with the patrol's warning, the leader did not take it seriously, instead trying to extract information about the territory from them. Rakrak stepped forward slowly, telling him, here there are water resources and food, and a deity. This is the territory of a nameless beetle god. However, the leader clearly did not understand what he was saying, gestured for them to leave quickly, and and warned, "We have many soldiers. If you are a leader, you should know what to do." Rakrak shook his head helplessly, saying, "I don't want to start a war with you. Those who have lost their homes can embrace the deity, and you will receive the deity's favor." Hearing this, the leader laughed loudly. "You are the one who doesn't know how to scheme." Rakrak was not moved by his mockery, instead firmly saying, "Perhaps you are right, but you do not know the deity." As soon as the words were spoken, the drake launched an attack on Rakrak. Facing this behemoth, Rakrak knew he needed the deity's blessing. At this moment, he was praying, hoping the deity would grant him courage and strength. However, he underestimated the strength of the drake. With just one strike, it broke his spear. The leader then sneered and said, "You can go die now." Nebula silently observed from the side. Just then, a message prompt appeared. Civilization clash. Two different tribes came into contact. Both tribes' experience points increased significantly. This message prompt came just in the nick of time. Area, Lizardman level 1. You've been paying a lot of attention to one tribe. These tribes are now part of your territory. New skills are available. Would you like to use it? Nebula decisively pressed the S button.